Guys, if you missed it yesterday, we got a massive update, the first update of Chapter 7, and it wasn't just like a couple of tweaks in this. It actually changed a lot about how Chapter 7 works, but what I'm noticing as I researched around and looked around the internet is that not a lot of people actually know the amount of things that were changed and the things that they actually hinted towards changing in the future. Yesterday, we talked specifically about the lore, but today I'm going to break down the biggest changes, what they mean for how the season plays out, and why it feels like Epic is steering Chapter 7 in a very new but specific direction. And if you're new here, Chapter 7 has already been doing a lot of UI and game feel changes, so if it feels like, why does Fortnite look different, you're definitely not crazy. Fortnite actually made another UI change that not a lot of people noticed, but a few of them, once you do notice, you're going to be a little bit frustrated because it's just a little bit weird. Now, first, I want to talk about the vibe of Chapter 7 for a second, because the UI changes lately have genuinely made it feel like I'm booting up a slightly different game just about every time I play. And I know there has been a lot of controversy about, is the UI changes good? Should they just stop changing things for the sake of changing them? Personally, I think it's fine. I mean, I eventually get used to it after a few games, but menus, playlists, and how you pick modes has actually been shifting over time, and it's been happening fast enough that it's easy to kind of lose track of what Fortnite actually looks like because they've been changing so many things. Additionally, just recently they made a change to how the friend list looks and how the friend interaction looks with the UI, and they just recently reverted it because there was a bunch of issues. So in the first week, 2 weeks or so of Fortnite Chapter 7, we've had many UI changes to the emote wheel, to what happens after you win a game or you die, to the friends list. It's just been a lot overall, and it seems like they're really trying to figure out the happy medium to make sure that people are happy with the UI and how it looks. They're definitely trying to solve bigger problems behind the scenes. I think they're definitely looking at matchmaking health as well, but this update feels like them leaning into that harder. Less kind of like fun updates and more kind of just like restructuring how you play Fortnite and how it looks overall, which they've done that before, but for some reason in this chapter, it just feels a little bit different, and let me know what you guys think about that. So something that's going to be happening very soon, and this kind of goes into the UI a little bit and kind of the interaction when it comes to the menus and things inside of Fortnite. Battle Royale, Zero Build, and Ranked are actually going to be merged into basically one mode flow, like one playlist where you select what you want inside of it. If you haven't been following, this is Epic kind of trying to simplify how people enter matches and how the just like conglomeration of modes, like the cesspool of different modes that all look exactly the same inside of the menu actually work. Splitting everyone across a bunch of separate like tiles just gets really confusing overall when you have Zero Build and Ranked versions of just about every mode. And what's wild is that this isn't just for regular BR either. They're actually going across all of their modes, including Reload and Fortnite OG2. So basically, in a nutshell, how it's going to work is if you want to play Reload, you're going to go in there, and when you actually go in there, there will be some type of tab or a choose section or something like that when you're actually in the lobby that says if you want Zero Build, if you want Ranked, etc. I think that's a really good way to go after it, and the main impact is that it's going to feel easier to actually find what you want to play, I think, at least, because when you have all of these different modes and all of them have the same similar sort of like key art or the same like thing, they all look the same in terms of the image, it gets really frustrating and can be difficult to find what you're actually looking for. But Fortnite has done very good with that because they now have a very clear buy Epic section, so you're able to actually find that easier, which I do commend them for. I know a lot of people are going to be upset with Fortnite changing the UI. I know a lot of people were, specifically when Chapter 7 came out, but I really like that they're continuing to experiment with that and trying to make the game just feel a little bit smoother, especially when it comes to the UI and the menus. Now, like I said at the beginning, we got a new update yesterday, and one thing that happened that I don't think a lot of us really realized was that the play as a boss thing was nerfed inside of Fortnite. I'm going to be real, you guys, I actually don't think that this needed a nerf. I think it actually needed a buff. Even before the nerf, I barely saw people picking it up anymore, and the biggest reason is simple. Your location being shown at all times is a massive downside. Basically, what they did is when you're playing as a boss, the overshield feature is gone, and you can only have one boss on each team. So both of your teammates, you and your duo, cannot both play as a boss. Now, for me, in general, the constant tracking just isn't worth it on the map. You basically become like a walking, like everyone come third party me beacon, I guess. You're just asking for people to come after you. And even when you're close to them, sometimes you can see their like gamer tag and how much health they have through walls and things like that. And now that they removed the overshield from the ability, they're limiting to only one boss per team as well. I get what they're trying to do, tone down the chaos and make it a little bit less like oppressive, I guess, but where I'm at personally is the risk already felt super high and people already weren't picking it up for the most part anyway, and now the reward just feels even lower for me. Let me know what you guys think about that nerf down below in the comments. Now, next up, and this is actually a big thing, something that was really big in Chapter 7 was the ability to kind of ragdoll and roll around and have more mobility when you're actually knocked. Now, this is one of those things that sounds kind of small until you actually play a few games. Now, rolling distance got slightly nerfed, so you're not just like scooting away or rolling away as far as you can for free, and getting knocked now consumes energy when you roll around, which means you're just not endlessly rolling around with nothing to lose. Like, you're actually able to, get punished for doing it too much, and you're not able to just run away forever. And there's also a small delay before you can roll after being knocked as well, which also is going to change how fast you're actually able to escape once you're knocked by somebody as well. Now, this is going to impact it a lot, and I actually really loved this. I love the fact that you were able to just roll around as much as you want while you were knocked. It does make sense for it to take some energy, so I think that was a necessary change, but I actually don't mind this that much overall. Now, additionally, you guys, you may not have noticed this because Dulu just came back today. It comes back about every weekend. It got a pretty good update. Now when you die, you're going to turn into a hovering ghost, kind of like how you would in other games like Imposter and things like that. So you're still a part of the match, just in a different way. You can actually give loot to teammates by clicking something called updude, and there's a delay on it as well, so it's not just an instant spam. You can also attach to a teammate and move around with them, which I think is honestly pretty cool and also kind of useful, but you can only talk to other ghosts with proximity chat. Plus, there's also a text chat added for living players, and to me, this is Epic testing more of like the social nature of Dulu, trying to make it a little bit more fun. I don't know about you guys, but I really haven't played it since it came out. It really just wasn't as fun as I thought it would be to me, and overall, the people who are in, Dulu just either aren't very like interesting to talk to, or, they're just saying random things and saying slurs and things like that. In my experience, I don't know how you guys have experienced that, but I'm glad that they're still like experimenting with Dulu. I'm glad it's still here around because I know a lot of people really enjoy it overall. Now, Fortnite actually added the Delorean to the files today as well. Now, this one I'm actually really hyped for. The Back to the Future stuff is really awesome. Of course, Marty is in the Battle Pass this season, so this collab being in the world makes perfect sense overall. What we're hearing is that the Delorean might also be a mythic type vehicle that plays the Back to the Future music as well, so not just solely a cosmetic the whole time. Apparently, it's going to have this ability to maybe create time tunnels. I have no idea what that's going to look like, and also some custom chests that are going to be tied to it around the map. Now, do you guys know, if you've been watching this channel, this is my favorite type of collab, when it's not just cosmetics, because Fortnite collabs are at their best when they change gameplay and feel like they actually exist on the island. So especially with Marty being in the Battle Pass, it's really important that they actually do make sure that they're putting stuff in the game towards this that actually affects gameplay. I think that is going to be a lot of fun. One of the biggest things that happened yesterday, and I know we've heard all types of stuff about different modes. We've talked about Reload OG, getting all these updates, and then there's one lone mode that has a lot of people that really want to see it succeed, and that is Ballistic. Now, Epic actually put out an official statement basically saying that they're still working on critical issues and also dealing with technical constraints, as they said, inside of Ballistic. It's one of the newer experiences still that they've been pushing. I think it's only been out for about a year now, but it's had problems people keep bringing up, and it really feels like it's been kind of neglected. I know there is a small team with Ballistic, but it has so much potential. It's the only like Epic sanctioned first person mode that we actually have. I really want them to keep working on this. It was so much fun when it first came out, and when they add stuff to it, it is a lot of fun as well, and there's a dedicated fan base. But hearing them say, like, admit like, yeah, there's a lot of problems, tell me that this isn't going to be just like a quick like flip of the switch fix and everything's going to be okay and it's going to have 10,000 players consistently. So if you were expecting Ballistic to like instantly become perfect overnight, that's probably not going to happen. Keep your expectations realistic, but also say it's still better to hear something official than just total silence like we've had, because at least we know it's on their radar. And there's been a lot of talk about, is Ballistic being killed, things like that, and that's definitely not the case. Now, one of the last things I wanted to bring up, you guys, is the ending death screen. Now, I know if you guys have been playing Fortnite, you've probably seen this. When you die, it brings up your battle pass and your level, or even when you win, it kind of blocks you being able to emote or being able to like bask in the glory of your victory royale. It kind of sucks overall, and I do hope that they end up changing this. It really does suck. I do not like this UI change whatsoever, but them doing different things like this, and I know a lot of you in the comments will probably say that I'm just blowing this out of proportion or I'm clickbaiting or something like that, but with all of these different changes, you guys have seen it. All of the different UI changes, them doing stuff with the Delorean, trying to make stuff more involved with the gameplay, saying, hey, we're working on Ballistic, doing stuff with also Dulu, the play as a boss feature. These are main features that were part of Chapter 7, like play as a boss, being able to roll around when you're knocked, the self-revive feature. All of these new features are being actively changed, and they're making a lot of adjustments to core stuff inside of Fortnite, like how you experience the game. So it seems like Fortnite is pushing the game in a specific direction. And I wish I could tell you guys what I thought that direction was, but I'm not 100% sure. But when when you put all this stuff together, the mode restructuring, the ability changes, the adjustments, all of this stuff, it feels like Chapter 7 is really getting shaped in real time. They're doing a lot of changes to it. It seems like they're kind of tightening the systems, smoothing out how stuff flows overall in the menu, and I'm really glad that they are going to be merging stuff together and making it easier, making all of the modes less compact and less like bloated in there so that we actually know what we're looking at when we're trying to find the modes that we want to play. Let me know what you guys think about all of these changes down below. How do you feel about the UI and all of these menu changes that have been going on recently? Are they frustrating you? Do you care? Let me know. Drop a like on today's video. You watched all the way to the end. You must have enjoyed, so drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. I make videos like these every single day. Use code Prozero in the Fortnite item shop to help support me even further, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.